Hello, I am April McCown. I am the Economic Development Manager for the City of Douglasville. The City of Douglasville is extremely excited to be able to provide this turnkey opportunity that you can listen to at any time, any point in the day, any point in your journey to being an entrepreneur. One of the large things that the city is tasked with doing this year, as well as for many years to come, is providing small business support. Small business support for us is entrepreneurs, it's recruitment of businesses, but ultimately retaining businesses as well. So anything that we can do to alleviate the confusion of starting a small business, doing business in Douglasville, and all that falls in between, we want to ensure that the process is concierge, if you will. From start to finish, you understand that doing business in Douglasville is easy. So we are excited to produce the Entrepreneurial Bootcamp, a guide to starting a business in Douglasville. This is going to be the first part series of the Entrepreneur Bootcamp, which is available, of course, on the city's website, as well as a lot of our other outlets for pumping out information. As we go through this, should you have questions, please feel free to jot those questions down and contact someone from our team. We can always be contacted, myself directly, at McCown, McKown, the letter A, at douglasvillega.gov. Or you can always contact the Community Development Department. My number directly there is 678-449-3102. So before we get started, just thank you again for considering Douglasville as a place to operate your business. We are, dedicated to maintaining that user-friendly approach to the licensing and permitting process. And through that, I want to take you through what we refer to as the ABCD guide, a guide to starting a business in Douglasville. So breaking it down, the A stands for appropriate zoning, B, building permits and inspections, C, Occupational Tax Certificate or a business license, and then D, just doing business in Douglasville. What makes us special, our basic statistics, as well as who you will need to contact when you arrive in our community or in preparation to arriving to our community, as it means to hooking up water and sewer and understanding utility and understanding traffic flow and all the other fun stuff that comes along with it. So moving on, as we kind of go through, appropriate zoning is where you would first start. The way that it is typically structured is two different points. One, new construction versus existing structure. So what that means essentially is you are about to embark on purchasing or leasing a new property. That would be new construction, of course. Existing structure would be that you are about to purchase a property that has already, has its building up and running. There might be a lease or for sale sign in the window, and that is considered to be an existing structure. So, of course, after understanding those two classifications, you have to first and foremost know, where are you? I know it sounds a little crazy, but you would be surprised how many times we get calls of, I'm interested in this property, it's located at XYZ, it says Douglasville, Georgia in the address, so I'm assuming I'm in the city. That assumption, unfortunately, is about, I would say, 50% correct, 50% incorrect sometimes. So you have to think about where you are located first and foremost. So we urge you to contact the zoning division when you're looking at properties to see where it jurisdictionally falls, so that we can ensure that you are talking to the right people. So for new construction, you're going to need the following when looking at appropriate zoning: a development plan, a site plan, civil plans, and land disturbance plans. And the way that that works out is essentially, if you are building a brand new property, you will need those 4 different types of plans, more than likely. Now, if it's an existing structure, all that we ask you to do is, 1, make sure that your use that you are going to be tackling at that specific location is an allowable use within our zoning district within our zoning code. So do not sign a lease. If you take anything away from this webinar, it is truly just do not sign that lease until you give this office a call, so that we can make sure that before you sign on that dotted line, your beauty shop or your restaurant or your retail spot is allowed at that specific place. Nothing would be worse than you investing all this money, putting money down for a lease essentially, and then coming to our offices because you're obtaining a business license and find out, whoops, that's not an allowable use. I now can't have my business at that location. So keep that in mind. And the last thing that you will need existing structure-wise that you will receive from the zoning department, or the zoning division, I'm sorry, is a zoning verification request form. And that zoning verification will allow you to obtain a business license. So as we move on, of course, to building permits and inspections, the next thing that we're going to be talking about is going to be able to actually start the process of building in your location. It could be exterior building, it could be interior building, it could be anything, to be quite frank. So taking you through that, if you plan on doing anything in the interior, any modifications, additions, remodeling, you can read the list that we have provided for you. Anything on that list is going to require a permit and is going to require you to give us a call. Now again, we walk you through the process. We have many of these permits, application-wise, are available online at douglasvillega.gov. But as always, if you have additional questions or concerns or want to be walked through the process a little bit more, you can always give us a call. The number that I would personally suggest, because it will get a lot of people to pick up the phone for you, is going to be the Community Development Department direct line, which is that number on the bottom, which is 678-449-3024. And from there, we can talk you through electrical permits, plumbing permits, HVAC permits. We can talk to you about what may be required for each of those different items, which ones need general commercial contractors, which ones don't. And then, really the big takeaway from this specific section is going to be that all contractors that you utilize must be licensed by the state of Georgia. And I personally have my own personal stories from that. I really didn't know how important that was until I dealt with a general contractor that was not licensed by the state of Georgia and who didn't have a business license. So it really comes back to the user. It protects you, it protects the integrity of your build out, and it allows us to keep all of our ducks in a row. So as far as how to apply for a permit, taking you through the ABCD guide, we have steps 1 through 7. So those specific steps are going to be quite daunting, because I know there's a lot of what ifs as you go through those different steps. But first and foremost, we want to determine, do you need a permit? So if it's less than 100 square feet, if you are just painting or installing floor covering, re-roofing, replacing exterior siding, sidewalk or driveway installation, and swimming pool less than 24 inches deep, you do not need a permit. So that's one thing to think about. So if those are not your projects, more than likely you do need a permit. But again, give us a call. We will confirm if you do or you do not need a permit. For step 2, it's all about site information. So before you can obtain the appropriate approval or permit, this is essentially what will be required. So you'll have to obtain a zoning verification letter from the zoning division, which we talked about earlier. You may be required to submit additional documentation, and this can range from commercial civil plans to architectural plans to trades. That includes your MEP or your mechanical, electrical, plumbing plans. These require submittals, and they will be known during your initial contact with the building division. So again, we all ask you that should you have any doubts as you go through this process, we are here for you. give us a call. We'll take you through the process if you have questions on the requirements for site information. Step 3, are there any special approvals that will be needed for your project? This is going to be on those, or at least that I've found, on those large-scale projects that are new construction. We do find that special approvals do typically happen with those more often than existing structures. But nonetheless, in some cases, there might be some additional level of review for your set of plans to determine if additional reviews or approvals will be needed. So that could include setbacks, density limits, building facade requirements. If you're in the historic district, for example, there might be some additional requirements as well. And one really large takeaway as far as special approvals for this step 3 is going to be that the City of Douglasville does not review water and sewer plans, erosion control or stormwater plans, and this is a separate area of review which is conducted by the Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority. A lot of people typically think that once they drop off their sets of plans, that we distribute to all agencies, and that is not the case because of different sets of requirements. So be sure to note that as you move through these various steps. For step 4, it's then plan review. So the city will review the submission of the plans, and we keep in mind essentially the following as we review the plans. So we want you to submit all necessary maps, construction documents, and plans according to the requirements. We also need you to ensure that all your documents and all your required plans, drawings, maps, whatever, you have all your approvals that you need. And we also make every effort, this is a big one, to have the plans reviewed in a timely manner. And we usually provide comments and approvals back within 7 to 10 business days. I have found in the Metro Atlanta area that is a pretty good turnaround time for any Metro Atlanta community. So we are really proud to say that we do our best, based on any circumstances, to ensure that you have your plans back with those necessary comments from the City of Douglasville specifically in a timely manner. For step 5, do you have everything needed to obtain permits and approvals? So at this stage, you should have been submitted for your project. However, if there's any documents that may be missing, you may be contacted by the building division to ensure that all of your approved permits, will be issued. So the important, again, takeaway for step 5 is, Lordy, please give us everything. Truly, it slows down your process if you don't have everything submitted to us during plan review. We never try to slow down your project. We want to make sure that it happens within your time frame, given our policy and procedures as well. So as much information as you can submit to us in the forefront will really help you here as far as step 5 when it comes to permits and approvals. Step 6 is going to be your inspections. So all the work has been done essentially by your general contractors and all your subcontractors, and now you need an inspection. So after work, we ask that you go ahead and give us a call at each different section. So for your mechanical, your electrical, your plumbing, your HVAC, whatever you're doing, you can give us a call. That direct number to call is going to be 678-449-3230, and you will speak to someone directly where you can schedule an inspection. Typically, we ask that you call to schedule an inspection in, have your permit number ready, and then also have the address of the work being done as well, have that handy. And our permit techs will do their best to fit you into their schedule the next business day. So they do a pretty good job. We have really some awesome inspectors. For step 7, it's your final step. It's going to be getting your CO. So once the final inspections have been completed, so anything, rough would not be considered final, but final is final. That was one hard thing that I had to learn going through this process myself, was finals mean finals, and once all your finals are completed, then you can move on to the CO process. So once you have been issued a CO, your project will be considered essentially complete by the city of Douglasville. So this means that, your residents, if you are building a residential property or commercially, you can then occupy the property and you can move in, and basically the property is then considered complete. So then you would move on, because you can't just start a business without a business license. You would then move on to getting your occupational tax certificate. And an occupational tax certificate is really also known as a business license. But for ABC purposes, we wanted to make sure it would be something a little bit more fun. So occupational tax certificate. So we talked about it being a business license. The minimum charge for occupational tax is going to be a $50 administration fee, and it will vary. It depends on gross receipts, and of course, it does require a proof of state regulated license, so your state license. If you are an existing business, renewals are due by January 30th every year. We encourage you, if you're going through this process, maybe you're going through it wanting to understand more about building, and you just kind of happenstance on this section, please double check to make sure that your business license has been renewed. Nothing is worse than getting a letter from code compliance that says, hey, you don't have a valid business license. And ultimately it's too, I try to understand this as well, because it is a hard thing for people to sometimes understand why business licenses are necessary, and who they protect, and why a city would want to get that much into your business. But to be quite frank, it protects yourself. It protects you, it protects your buyers, and it's something that by registering, you are able to validate that you are an operational business within that jurisdiction. So if you have questions about occupational taxes, where to get them, or you're just interested as to where those specific individuals that process this are, they are located at the City Hall, which is at 6695 Church Street, right here in downtown Douglasville. The deadline for renewal that we talked about being January 30th. However, if you don't renew, you're looking at a 1.5% interest after each month, and then 10% interest after March 31st. So get those in for sure. You don't want to do a 10% interest at all when it comes to your gross receipts. So if you have more than one location, or if you prefer to potentially walk into this and have multiple locations, or looking to expand your business in Douglasville, one important thing to note here is that you may need a separate occupational tax certificate. That's always something that I understand to be pretty similar for most Metro Atlanta communities and most communities at large that requires separate occupational tax certificates. We also strongly encourage each business to obtain a business license before they open. So, we understand that you are very busy, but if you don't have that business license before you open, it really can shut you down quick. We understand you're not going to understand your taxes, and we understand that you're not going to understand what your average gross receipts may be as well. But we do ask for you to look at what you're looking at making that first year, and from there they're able to determine what kind of charge you're looking at. So if you have an occupational tax certificate, you're looking to transfer that specific certificate to another holder, or you're moving locations, there is a small fee. I believe it's a $10 administration fee for your location change, and that can be done with the city tax clerk. You can come in again at 6695 Church Street, so City Hall and the Finance Division, and the Finance Department will do their best to go ahead and process that for you. So if you have questions specific to business licensing, to occupational taxes, we suggest giving them a call directly. Their line is 678-449-3078. Or you can always send them an email at occtax@douglasvillega.gov. I always say stop by. There's nothing better than talking to a person face to face sometimes. So if you do have questions and you're in the area, please feel free to stop by so we can answer those questions for you. So as we move on to the final section, the D of the ABCD guide, I would like to just say, why we are a business-friendly community. We kind of touched this in the very beginning, but our goal for this guide, our goal for this webinar, and our goal ultimately as economic developers for Douglasville is to recruit, retain, promote, and prepare all of our small businesses. So whether you are a franchise, whether you are a large developer or a mom and pop startup that has, one employee just looking to have a home business and then from there hopefully branch out into a bricks and mortar location, we want to be there for you. We want to recruit you by any means possible. We want to retain you ultimately, so we want you to grow. We want you to stay here as you grow within your business, and we want to ensure that we're providing the proper nourishment to your business, whether it's resources or information. And then promote. We want to promote you, so if you have a success story, if you're following along this webinar and you want to share with us some successes that you've experienced in Douglasville as it relates to small business development, let us know that. We'd love to be able to promote the story of why doing business in Douglasville is the best decision you can make. And then finally, we want to prepare. Preparing you for anything from how to start a startup business, how to engage in community networking, who to engage in community networking, preparing you for the growth that we plan to experience over the next 3 to 5 years and beyond through all of our master planning processes, and just preparing you for the road ahead. It could be that you're a small business owner who's never considered retirement, or you're a small business owner who's never taken an HR class. Anything that we can do that prepares you as you move forward in your small business journey, we want to do that. So I want to share with you Douglasville by the numbers. This is a really interesting graphic that we had made up about last year this time, and the numbers are pretty similar from last year. Nothing too much to report as far as going up or down. One interesting takeaway is 760%. So that is going to be the population density in Douglasville, 760% larger than the Georgia average. That shows that we are a dense community and we're still growing. And that is just outstanding to see, to hear, just to know that so many people are interested in our community. But at the same time, we have a wonderful mayor and council who are determined to ensure that this growth is smart and this growth is intentional as well. So through the master planning processes, providing that high quality of life to all of the people who are interested in the community, whether you're a business owner, a resident, a visitor, a traveler, however that works out for you, we want to ensure that you have a good experience here in Douglasville. Another fun number on there, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but 53%. 53% is going to be the average population of families with children under the age of 18. I think that is very cool just to know that we have a very family-oriented community, a community that's minded and understanding that education is important because they have those smaller children. They're also minded as to having opportunities for their children to potentially work here in Douglasville and to be employed ultimately and start their own families. And just beyond, they want to have opportunities to go and do something with their family without traveling outside of Douglasville's borders. And the final one, of course, that everyone likes to talk about, which I know I do too, is just the average age of Douglasville residents, 33.9. That surprised me when I saw the numbers as well, but wow, what a great surprise that really was to know that we're kind of stuck right there in the middle. That shows that we have a lot of individuals that are young, whether young in their careers or young by means of starting a new business potentially. That's just a great number for any community to have and to say, to cater to. as well. And by no means are we, catering to just one single standard of range of person, but we're more so looking at that we have a very healthy aging population. We have a very healthy population under the age of 30 as well. So it's nice to know that we're sitting right there in the middle, that we're catering to all different types of individuals, and those individuals are thriving here in Douglasville. As far as matters to consider, that's a large thing that we try to do, call it a checklist, if you will, for small businesses looking to be here in Douglasville that have gone through the steps. They've done the state process, they've done the ABCD guide to a certain extent as well, but now they want to know a little bit more. This also covers a couple of things that we want you to consider even before you find your location. So, circulation, traffic flow, I think that's self-explanatory. You don't want to be in an area that just doesn't have any circulation. It's kind of off the beaten path. Maybe it doesn't even, have a traveler. So we want you to consider that, of course. Similar businesses in the area, always consider that, which, again, basic standard practice. Waste disposal, we do have if you're located, of course, in the city of Douglasville city limits, we do have a waste management division called the Public Services Department, and they're wonderful as it relates to waste disposal. I definitely urge you to give them a call as well, and you can always reach them by calling the City Hall main line, which is 770-920-3000. Talking about income, thinking about your income as you go through a startup. Many people will tell you that you should always predict never to make 100% profit the first year, and really not to even consider making 1% of profit within the first 18 months. Because a small business takes time to grow as far as income is concerned. So we always want people to consider that you're not going to open your front door and start making all of your money back in 2.5 seconds. So before you start down the road of an entrepreneurial business, we want you to consider that, and that's always done through a business plan. When, where, and how will you market and advertise? This is typically something that everyone thinks of after they open is, okay, my doors are open, now I need to market. Really, the journey of marketing starts way before you open your doors. You should start your marketing journey right when you determine, hey, I'm going to do business in Douglasville. Then you start that connection. You start working with those different resources, and you start talking up your business. Once a location's determined, then you move forward with talking even further about your location and your ribbon cuttings and different things that you'll be offering while at that location. Supplies being purchased from local vendors or producers. We always pitch the idea of shopping local. Shopping local supports a local economy. So if you can buy something, whether it is a sign or a product that is, made essentially in Douglasville, Douglas County, or the surrounding area, we always, suggest that. Why not? Why not support a local market that's going to ultimately support you in the long run? Tax types and payments, always consider that when it comes to the Georgia Department of Revenue, what kind of taxes you're going to be paying for your specific business and what tax category you fall in. And we always encourage all of our new businesses or any businesses that are wanting to kind of take it to the next level in Douglasville, Douglas County, to join the Chamber of Commerce. They do a lot of wonderful networking programs and promotions. They have a ton of resources at their fingertips, and they are definitely a mover and shaker in our community as far as the business voices. So we definitely urge you to consider that as well as you go through your process. If you've made it this far and you haven't given up yet, congratulations. I'm kidding. But if you haven't, for real though, and you do not have a small business plan, we encourage you to talk to our partners over at the University of West Georgia Small Business Development Center. It's, of course, a University of Georgia business, but it's a They have their outposts at the University of West Georgia, which is, of course, our neighbor just down the street. So they offer a lot of free services. They offer some webinars as well as some classes that are, small fees. And we urge you just to have a conversation with them. It could be that you are an established business looking for growth over the next 3 to 5 years. Or it could be that you're a startup and you don't even really know where to start. We always push people over to the SBDC. They are very well knowledged, and they will be very honest with you about where you are in your business plan journey. And I would be I would be definitely not doing my due diligence if I didn't mention downtown Douglasville. I come from a background of Main Street, and so I understand the importance and the value that is downtown Douglasville. So hopefully you do too. Hopefully you understand that it's the central area, if you will, of a community. It's the gathering point. It's typically the heart, if you will. And so if you are looking to locate to downtown Douglasville, we would definitely encourage you to familiarize yourself with the Downtown Development Authority, with Main Street Douglasville, which is our Main Street program here, which is tasked to recruit businesses and to promote those businesses and kind of do the same thing that economic development for a city would do, but on a smaller scale and specifically for downtown. So it's like your own little economic development engine, which I think is just grand for anyone who wants to be in a downtown. And of course, there's many incentives for downtown specific property owners and businesses. So I would urge you to have a conversation with the Main Street coordinator, who is Brianna Watts. She can be located at 678-449-3198. And again, her name is Brianna Watts. Connect with her if you do have interest in learning more about businesses that are downtown, available properties, as well as just the incentives that are available to our downtown property owners and business owners. We have quite a few that might entice you. And then finally, utilities. This is a basic one, but you would be surprised how many times people think that city has all of the facilities and we maintain all of them. We do not. Water is done by our joint Douglas County, Douglasville Water and Sewer Authority. Electricity all depends on where you are. We have two main providers, Greenstone Power and Georgia Power. Gas, of course, and phone hookup, all these things to consider. Wi-Fi, of course, is becoming a large thing as well for many businesses. So definitely consider that as well as you begin signing up for those different services. And as always, if you need us, we are here. So the last slide that I have for you is going to be all about those numbers that we've basically hit on over the last few minutes. So the City Hall main line, the tax clerk, which is going to be the business licensing section. Police, always, if you're interested in the area and wanting to know more about the area, the safety of the area, the security, or wanting to understand some basic practices that our security officers, or police officers, I should say, want you to understand and know about Douglasville, give them a call. They are always happy to share information. Community development, which is building, zoning, code compliance, economic development, and planning, all of them are in that department, and you can reach all of those different divisions at that number. Main Street, of course, Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development Authority, which is for Douglas County, but nonetheless, they are also a very large wealth of knowledge as it relates to large projects coming into our community, workforce development, and a plethora of other information. The Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority, of course, the Douglas County government. So if you call us and we tell you, hey, guess what? You're not located in the city, unfortunately, definitely turn the guide over and give them a call at 770-949-2000. And finally, our fire department. So again, and as always, if you have questions or if you have concerns or if there's anything that we can do to hold your hand through this sometimes confusing process, we want to do that. So contact the Economic Development Office. I can be reached again directly at 678-449-3102. You can send me an email, of course, at mccown@douglasvillega.gov, or, which I always encourage, go ahead and just stop by. I definitely, can't promise I'll always be in the office, but if you are in the area and it's convenient for you, stop by. We will do our best to accommodate you. We'll do our best to walk you through the process and connect you with the right resources. So if you are interested in learning more, our next webinar is going to be a checklist for small businesses. It's going to be the part 2 or series 2 of the Entrepreneurial Boot Camp. So that's going to be released on July 9th around 12 o'clock, and it'll be, of course, on the DouglasvilleGA.gov's website. It is once again free, and we encourage you to really, if you don't have too much, if you have a little bit of time, even if you just have 20 minutes, that one shouldn't be too long. Just tune into that one. It's going to be a really good, I think, hit on state requirements. It's going to take you into a deeper dive as it relates to those requirements for LLCs and other entities tax-wise that you're going to have to file. It's going to take you into some resources as well locally that you can tap into for as a checklist, if you will. And it's a culmination of the Small Business Development Center, the Economic Development Office for the city, and then, of course, the Chamber of Commerce. We've all kind of come together to put together this list for small businesses, and so there'll be some, overreaching, overall, if you will, information about just how to start a business, but there will be some deeper dives into how that specifically translates into our community. So if you're interested, again, July 9th, 2020 at 12 o'clock at DouglasvilleGA.gov. It has been a pleasure to present this information to you guys, and I look forward to you locating your business in the city of Douglasville.